The Canadian Bitcoiners podcast is just two guys and maybe a guest or two discussing Bitcoin, Bitcoin equities, and the related macroeconomic space. It's not meant to be financial advice, so please, if you're doing any investing, after listening to our program, do your own research, do your own due diligence, and understand that any money you invest can be lost. The show is meant for entertainment purposes only, and we hope you enjoy the program.
Good start there. Okay, where do you want to start with notables here?
There's a bunch of them, but I think we're going to fly by them because there's a Bloomberg report that came out this past week, and it's showing that U.S. small businesses are teetering on collapse because rent delinquencies are up substantially. And it's a staggering 43% of small businesses were unable to pay their rent in full in April. And they're saying this is due to economic headwinds. And I find this funny because when I hear everything to do with the economy from some people, they say it's fine. So I'm not sure how it is these people are struggling to pay their rent. But of those that did pay their rent too, 52% did not pay April's rent on time. So it's just, if you break this down, 43% are unable to pay their rent in full. And the ones that did, 52% don't even pay it on time. So that's pretty damning. These landlords, they're going to be suffering at a time when borrowing costs are higher and running costs are higher. So it's going to make it more challenging for them to make ends meet. So rent costs for these small businesses obviously have gone up quite a bit. Also, profits are significantly lower than before. So if you combine the two factors, you can understand they don't have enough money to pay these rents. Now, if you want to break down which states have the highest percentage of renters, small business renters that are unable to pay their bills, Texas is leading the league here, 52%. That's pretty high. Then it's followed by Massachusetts, California, and Maryland. But yeah, like Texas, I wasn't expecting that, but it's California. I would have put them on the top of the list. In fact, New York, I thought I'd even put it even higher than that. But this is damning stuff. Small businesses, I'm not sure how much it makes up for the economy in the United States. I think it's a small figure in the grand scheme of things, but it's just, as you say, another signpost that things are not heading in the right direction. And as these businesses fall, dreams fall alongside with that. These are people that are going to be looking for handouts, some support on the social system that's already strained as it is. This shit gets worse and worse every year. So I don't know what else to say about this story here.
Me neither. 43% seems very high, though, doesn't it?
It really does.
Who's reporting that? Is it the same people reporting the jobs numbers? Like, is it the same random number generator behind that?
It's always high. So if they'll revise this later on to about 13% better. No, I don't think that's the case. And could you imagine you're a landlord, you're collecting rent and then these guys are late or not paying in full. What do? You evict? And then what do you replace them with?
Like, you can only get the building back if you squat in it. That's what the landlords are doing. They're squatting in their own buildings.
That's actually a good idea. And then you start from anew, you pay nothing, and it's yours. That's actually good. If you claim your name, like just use a pseudonym like Pablo or something. They can't fucking trace it to the landlord. Like, yeah, I'm Pablo. What the fuck? Here you go, Pablo. Here's your new building.
We should have put this content behind the Patreon paywall. That was good. We're going to save a lot of people a lot of money, I think.
That's true, yeah. But which state was it? Any particular state? It was New York, I think, that was guilty of that.
They're all. I mean, some of the stories you see. We haven't done landlord eviction / squatting stories on the show in a while, but there was that one clip that was on Twitter. I must have sent it to a million people. Honestly, some woman owns a house. She's been gone a while.
That was New York.
Yeah, someone is squatting in the house. She goes to get them kicked out. The squatters call the police, and she gets arrested for trespassing. Like, you can't make it up. And when people say, like, this is obviously small business owners are not going through this, at least not yet. But when people say that private property is not the right you think it is, like, boy, oh boy, if that set of rights goes by the wayside, Len, you are in for a treat in the United States. The social fabric will dissipate quicker than anyone can imagine, for sure.
Joey, and I want to hear your take on this because I could not figure out what the fuck to make of this. And it's a total TradFi story. That's why maybe I can't wrap my head around it, is because the United States Treasury said they're going to be launching a buyback program. And they say this is the first time this has happened since 2002. I think they were doing it from 2000 to 2002. The fuck is all this all about? Like, I don't quite understand what it is that they're trying to achieve. I'm not exactly sure what it is they're trying to do, because they're still also trying to sell a whole bunch of debt over the next little while. They're not changing the amount of debt; it's remaining the same. So they're still selling debt, but doing a buyback program.
They're buying the debt. So it's like
the old debt that's cheap.
Yeah, kind of. So basically, they're buying debt. My understanding is the auctions have not been great in the Treasury market. So I think when you have an auction, this is way above my head, but I'll do my best here. When you have an auction, basically you issue debt at different durations or whatever, and people either buy it or don't buy it. And the thing is, like, if someone doesn't buy I don't know, at a regular auction, if you ever go to Brian's auction here in Southern Ontario, okay? If someone doesn't buy
treasuries, I'd love to show up.
They sell skids of Lay's chips, but if this keeps up, there can't be that many more months before treasuries start to appear in the lots.
Oh, the CBP is going to show up. Yeah, I'm going to bid on.
We got a skid of U.S. treasuries here. Yeah, 10-year, 4%. Denny takers. So I think a lot of people are saying that, like, look, I'm not going to buy any of these treasuries because I think rates are going to go up over the course of 5 or 10 years, which may happen. I have no idea. But so what they do is they buy back treasuries that are on the market. And so if I look at, like, I'm trying to find like a decent summary of it here, but the program will involve weekly buybacks of $2 billion in coupon securities and up to $500 million in tips, which I think is inflation protected securities, something like that. Treasury inflation.
Think about that. $2 billion.
But this is the thing, okay? I am totally like nihilistic on this now. I actually don't think any of those numbers are real. They're made up. I don't think anyone actually knows how much they're buying back. The balance sheet, the general ledger, it's all just made up. All those numbers don't matter. It's just so, like, Bloomberg or Seeking Alpha or whatever can report something. Someone can write something about the Treasury auction instead of just they bought back a bunch. They have to say they bought back $2 billion. The jobs numbers we know for sure are made up, like statistically impossible similarities month to month. They're made up. Okay, so let me read this here, and then we can see what we can do with this. The Treasury market has always been the largest and most liquid segment. This is written by AI. I'm not going to read this, actually. Speaking Alpha, such a dog shit website. Anyway, the point is
they're not selling at all.
Yeah, they're not selling any long-dated treasuries. I know it's indicative that people no longer have faith in the U.S. debt market.
I know, and I have an awesome idea. Let's buy some, and let's do a giveaway on the show.
Can we get them for cheap? Like if no one wants to buy them, can I get a couple for like $1? Like, how much? What's the minimum bid?
I don't know. Let's give it away at a show.
You got to get VJ Boyapati can tell me next time I listen to. I'll message him and be like, hey, buddy. Let's get a couple bucks together. Me, you, Joe Consorti, Len. We'll get a couple of skids of treasuries here. We can do it.
Accept Bitcoin?
I doubt it. Not yet, but they should. And so anyway, the whole point is that no one wants to buy the debt, so they just buy it themselves. Is that it? And then when here's the thing, right? Like, it's confusing for us because we're just a couple of guys with day jobs who do this for shits and giggles. Like, the only reason I know about any of this stuff is because it affects my Bitcoin bag. So, like, otherwise I just don't care, or it affects like the price of my house. Otherwise I just don't care. But there are people whose entire career revolves around these systems who don't have a fucking idea how they work. One is Stephanie Kelton. One is the other guy from that MMT video, the Biden economic advisor, who's talking about how debt is issued through treasuries. He doesn't know. It's like 2 minutes long. And at the end of it, you got to ask yourself, like, if this guy was explaining to me how he's going to change the oil in my car and he was that confident about that subject, I wouldn't let him do it. Now you're telling me this guy runs, $100 trillion economy on the quote unquote largest power on the planet, both economically and militarily. And that's the explanation we got. Oh boy, we got problems. And so I don't know. I look at all this stuff and I just think, I think I'm going to stay in Bitcoin. No one seems to really know what's going on. We're issuing debt and buying it ourselves. By the way, we probably do that here too. I don't know what we would call it. I'm sure our treasury auctions are a joke. Like, who's buying Canadian debt? Can you imagine?
But apparently this buyback is the first time in 22 years.
What happened 22 years ago? Any idea?
well, so did Canada do the same thing around that time, and did they stop? I don't know. These are things. I'll be honest, and even with respect to the price of Bitcoin, I don't even fucking care these days. It goes where it goes, and I buy it regardless of the price. I don't.
We've been doing bond buybacks since November 8th, 2022.
Continuously.
It looks like it.
So what is it? And does it say when it was? And does it say before when it's started up again? Like, was it a gap of a couple of decades?
I need a poorly produced Tiff Macklem explainer on Twitter to figure this out.
Could you imagine there was an AI Tiff? That'd be awesome.
Is there a discernible difference between AI Tiff and
no, come on. Well, you know what? He has.
Did you see him? Did you see him on stage with Powell a couple of weeks ago?
He was kind of funny.
He is funny. I think I didn't give him enough credit, but Powell's funnier. I think Powell's got a career on MSNBC if he doesn't just become a hedge fund manager, and it's going to be great to hear him with Joe Kernan, Scott Wapner, and Jerome on Fed Day talking to Jeff Gunlock. I think that would be outstanding content. I would pay for that.
Is Tiff going to be around if there's a change in government? Are they going to go through the process of turfing him? It seems like I think you're right, and you know what? That's a political move, but like really, what Tiff Macklem has been doing is no different than any other central banker in the world. So this was just par for the course.
There is no nation central bank outside of the U.S. Everyone else is just empire style central banking, as Hervé Moritz would say. They're doing everything in unison. The U.S. marches to the beat of its own drum, but everyone else doesn't. I saw a good article today or yesterday, I forget now, but this idea that people are waiting for rate cuts and stuff for Bitcoin to really rip. If it becomes clear Trump is going to become the president in late summer, early fall, just the possibility or potential or likelihood that Powell is removed from that chair and Gensler is removed from that chair is going to send Bitcoin to the moon. Because those are two guys who are operating outside, quote unquote, outside of political mandates, who seem to have their hearts set on policies that are detrimental to the price of Bitcoin. If they get booted, then, look out, all this stuff. It's interesting, right? You don't really think about that. I think about rate cuts a lot, but I don't think about stuff like that. It is true that would send the price absolutely flying. What would happen if Tiff Macklem was removed here? Would the price of homes skyrocket, right? Conservatives are calling for rates to come down. And so, I don't think they have any better ideas than any other government around the world. Housing is a problem in most modern economies, I think, at this point. And I don't know, how do you sell? This is, we're far afield here, but how do you sell to the public, to the home owning public, for this to become sustainable? The price of your home has to drop by 30% or 40%. You can't. And when they say affordable housing, that's really what they mean. But no one ever says it, right? So I don't know. Lots to think about.
It's all indicative of the price of the Canadian dollar.
The dollar's in bad shape. Yeah, I'm going to talk to Rich about that tomorrow too.
And the dollar compared to the United States is holding steady in the 71 cents range. It's been like that for some time. It hasn't really changed all that much. It's not like the yen, right? Like the yen, if you look at what's happening in the past week and a half or so, one US dollar was able to buy at one time, 2-3 weeks ago, 150 yen. Then all of a sudden it went up to 160 yen, and it happened suddenly. And then now it's dropped back. I don't know what it's 152, 153. It's a massive swing. We're talking like several percent in a day. That's been done. This is for a currency, of the third or fourth largest economy in the world.
Yeah. I was talking to Mike about this on Friday after we were done airing, done with Money Talks, and we were both marveling at the clear two things, right? One, the Japanese government clearly intervening in the currency market. And number two, the Japanese government clearly lying or obfuscating all of a sudden when they're doing currency interventions. They never used to do that. Now they're not saying how much or when until it's way after the fact. And that tells you
moving a ton.
Oh yeah.
Right? And
they're
initially
over there.
They were trying to defend at 150. Now they're saying 160 is the new line in the sand where they don't want to cross.
Yeah.
Look, if this happened to the Japanese yen, again, this is the third or fourth largest economy in the world. I forget what the fuck it is. It could happen anywhere aside from the United States. Of course, that will happen last.
Dollar milkshake, right? Yeah, exactly.
I've been saying that Japan is the canary in the coal mine. It's the one that's going to disappear. if you look at what happened, it's lost the yen 40% of its value against the United States dollar in just 2 years.
Yeah.
Did you know that, Joey? Like
I'm looking at the chart right now. It's actually mind bending. But you're
that's
right.
a significant amount for stable currency from a stable economy. 40% of its value in 2 years. The same could happen to the euro. The same could happen to the British pound, and the same could happen to the Canadian dollar. The Singapore dollar, luckily, is safe, but all those other ones I mentioned, it could certainly happen to that. If it happens over that much period of time, a 2-year period of time, is that something that's going to just make people their jaws drop? I don't think so.
No one even knows, Len. No one even pays attention to this stuff.
So stuff like housing potentially could go even significantly higher, because if you're talking about a currency that is failing, then the price of a hard asset is a desirable asset that is hard to create anymore. Like a house is going to go up significantly. Now, there are counterparty risks for owning a home, but Bitcoin luckily doesn't carry those same type of risks. So I just wanted to point that out. What is happening in Japan it's interesting, to say the least. So I'm not sure to add any more to what we said there.
Everything's possible. I don't know. I mean, I'll add one thing on the Robinhood thing now that I'm on TradingView. Robinhood's earnings are this week too. So again, suspect timing. Everyone, picking their battles very carefully here, including the Japanese central bank. Anyway, what do we got next?
See, Google is letting go of some people. Now, remember, the economy is doing fine, right? But it's being reported that hundreds of core employees have been given the pink slip by Google. And this is part of a reorganization from within the company. This is as per a CNBC article. And, they're letting people go, but they're going to be hiring corresponding roles in Mexico and India. So
that's pretty weird.
Yeah. According to Google's website, the core unit is responsible for building the technical foundation behind the company's flagship products and for protecting users' online safety. So it seems like to me, these are very important roles, critical roles to Google. And I wonder why they are opting to go with non-Americans or people not residing in the United States to fulfill these roles. So as of right now, 50 positions were axed right away from their Sunnyvale, California location. I hope they're not going to axe also the position of the assistant trailer park supervisor, but that's a different Sunnyvale altogether. But looking at this, just another indication that shit is going in the wrong direction. Google is a huge fucking company, and they're getting rid of important positions. I mean, not totally getting rid of, but rehiring, restructuring, and having people from Mexico and India perform these duties. This is, again, trending in the wrong direction. How many more of these we have to see before we fucking do something? I hope people take notice of this.
I don't feel the same way you do about this. I think that most tech outfits now, even though they publicly condemn Musk for all his, his passion about free speech and whatnot, they're all looking at the Twitter model where they cut 80% of the heads, engineering, social committee, you name it. And the platform works just fine. I mean, apart from the sex bots, there's a lot of sex bots on Twitter, but I mean, apart from that, everything works pretty good. I like the verified perks. I think the app is pretty good. The algo generally feeds me stuff that I'm interested in. Sometimes it just feeds me rage bait, but if I stay away from it or scroll through it quickly, it adjusts. And I don't know. I think it's something that most of these tech companies are looking at now and saying, man, we could probably do this. And just in case we can't, let's hire them back at Indian wages or Mexican wages just to be safe. Like, it's not that hard to figure this out, is it? I think, again, like if you look at, I'm walking on eggshells here, but I'll try my best, Len, for you. Okay. There are clear gaps in expectation for wages between the average American or Canadian and the average Indian worker. We've seen them over the years, both here domestically in Canada and also overseas. If you call, for example, your insurance provider, I called my insurance provider, my healthcare provider last week, and the person on the phone was not Canadian. we've talked on the show before about the Freshie, the terminal operators that are remote cashiers basically for these companies. They're in India. There's a lot of labor over there that's, I think, in a lot of regards, as competent or close to as competent as their American and Canadian and whatever European country counterparts, and they'll work for 1/10 the cost. Google's not a dumb outfit. These people know what they're doing. They're very bright, and I would just say that this is what you're going to see way more of this going forward, because I think a lot of those jobs were the product of overexpansion, number one. And number two, I think some of those teams and some of those products have reached maturity. Like how many engineers do you need on search at this point? Do you need still 100 engineers?
This is for building the technical foundation behind the company's flagship products and protecting users' online safety. So it doesn't sound like to me.
Online safety is basically the social committee, right? Don't forget that. Safety is not security. Safety is hate speech and other nonsense that these guys, govern and regulate and have their hands in that pie all the time. As I get closer to being demonetized on YouTube with every word, I'll just continue and say that I think that this is going to continue. Once again, I don't see that it's going to change anytime soon. There's technologies that can do this work. There's cheaper labor that can do this work. And, when I think about something like the safety stuff, they take a shotgun approach anyways. It's not like anyone is having high-level conversations with lawyers or anything. They're just taking channels down or issuing strikes willy-nilly. They don't care. So why not just have someone else do it? Like, you don't need I don't need Harvard educated.
The optics look bad when you're
Who gives a fuck about optics? Len, these guys are stealing every ounce of data you give them and selling it to every person who wants it. They don't give a fuck about optics.
For an election year, the optics do matter.
Who cares? And both political parties need these guys
I would agree.
bad to compete that it doesn't matter.
I would agree, but it could be something that is easily, I don't want to say exploited, but you could take that and use
a weakness. You think? Yeah. You can amplify the weakness.
Sure. And if you have the person that wants to replace the incumbent, you could easily point at something like this. And it's a laundry list of shit that's out there. And it's just add this onto that list and say, look, fucking things aren't that good. And here's another reason why jobs are going to other countries. Why is that? Things clearly are shitty and it's under your watch. Why did all this happen? Well, we'll see what happens moving forward. We'll talk about some bank failures really quickly.
The weekly segment on bank failures.
No, we don't talk about them a lot.
I think we're going to start again here pretty soon.
I posted recently on Nostr that we're due for some bank failures. It's going to fucking happen. Right? The BTFP program ended not too long ago. And that was almost like a life jacket for some of these smaller banks in order to just weather the storm from these higher rates environments. And we have normie news out there, CNBC, reporting that this is the fucking headline right from their CNBC, why hundreds of US banks may be at risk of failure. They're reporting on this. They're fucking showing this because there was a consulting firm called Claros Group, and they conducted some research and they analyzed some 4,000 banks in the United States. And they found of those 4,000 banks, 282 of them were facing a dual threat of commercial real estate loans and potential losses tied to higher interest rates. Remember, the PTFP program ended. This is exposing a lot of their assets to that high interest rates garbage. And the majority of these banks are smaller banks with less than 10 billion in assets. Remember, 2 billion was just a number we were throwing out just a few minutes ago as being fuck all. 10 billion is 5 times fuck all. So if you look at it, the FDIC is only going to be supporting people up to $250,000 should these banks go tits up. But we've seen in the past that they've gone above and beyond this and made everybody whole. So we have now 282 banks that are being identified as potentially going to have some real problems moving forward. That's 7-8% of the overall banks in the United States. Granted, they're the small ones. The majority have less than 10 billion in assets. But, they have users, they have customers, there's loans out there. You can't have some or all these banks fucking go tits up and still have the economy running the way it is right now, which ain't running all that good. But, let's throw on some more garbage into this, and, the dumpster fire is going to get even bigger and hotter as a result. So, yeah, there you go. Bank failures. Yeah, we're going to be talking about this a heck of a lot moving forward. And I suggest people get one of these stress balls. They're fucking really good if you're working in these banks. It's going to keep you sane, and talk about Serenity now as well. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
At least as the dumpster fire intensifies, we can, hopefully put some tent encampments around them, keep them warm. As long as those fires burn through the winter, we might be able to get a few people through a difficult time, right? That's pretty good. That's a positive.
Yeah, and you could do them at all these universities and colleges that have these protests going on, because I'm sure there's some going on in some cooler parts of the States. I know we're in Maine. There's still going to be some areas that are northeast, northwest. They're still relatively cool. So yeah, get these dumpster fires moved over there. Let's get these protesters nice and warm, because we don't want to have any frostbite cases. You know what? It's too expensive to have them go to the hospital. They don't have the money to afford this. So yeah, I'm with you there. Let's take this disadvantage and turn it into an advantage. You know what another disadvantage is the SPR. Have you been following the SPR?
What is there to follow? They're trying to keep gas. Those guys are going to drain it to nothing until November. They're going to keep gas as low as they fucking can and try and they don't want people waking up to the fact that everything is so much more expensive because of the policies they've put in place. Well, the wars they've chosen to fight and support. It's all just bad news over there.
Well, if you look at the chart, they were slowly replenishing it. So they weren't depleting it. It was a very slow increase month to month, week to week. But still, there was net gain. It wasn't a net loss. So I got to give them credit for that. But recently they said they're going to be stopping the replenishing of the SPR. So refilling it is unfortunately going to be taken off the table, because they're saying that the costs have gotten too large. So any new bids have been pulled. But that was at a time when oil was above $80. Today, it's slightly less than $80, right? So it may be time they're going to start replenishing this again. I don't know. It just seems like politically it makes sense for them maybe to stop refilling it and start releasing it and keeping gas prices low. But eventually this has to get refilled, right? They just can't leave it at low rates, right? Like low reserves. I don't know. It just seems funny. But anyways, the price of oil, like, it's less than $80, and that's as of today's dollar too.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a steal. I don't know. Maybe they did the right thing by selling it off at a higher price and then replenishing it at a lower price. I mean, that's maybe the move of the year. Who knows?
Do you believe the EIA numbers on what's left in the SPR?
You know what? I don't even.
There's no other place to get the numbers, right? You have to get.
Yeah. So, like, for me to question it, I never even thought of it. Maybe it's bullshit. I don't fucking know. You have an opinion in it, right?
What do you think it is?
Well, it sounds like, just based on history, you're saying it's total BS.
It's made up. Yeah, I think it's made up. Yeah. How can they possibly know how much is in there?
Well, they have the dipstick. They just pull it out and oh yeah, it's right here.
I realize people will be like, well, they're measuring it. They presumably remember the first liter that was put in, and ever since then they know how many liters they put in and taken out. Yeah, maybe, but I doubt it. I can't honestly, Len, I just can't get over this stupid jobs number thing from 2 weeks ago.
That's fucking, it pisses you off. Eh?
Well, because it's just
living
so
rent free in your head.
Well, it's so low effort. Like, if you're going to cheat on the numbers, at least make the numbers look different. Instead, you pick the only numbers that are just statistically impossible to achieve. And immediately everyone's calling you out. Like, what? And so why should I believe anything else these guys talk about? I think the numbers are fudged to, what is the best way to put this? I think the numbers are all fudged to smooth out what they want the eventual policy positions to look like. So, for example, they keep on doing these quote unquote releases, and there's still plenty left to release, keeps the price of oil down, blah, blah, blah. They change the jobs numbers, and then suddenly when they want to start putting a cut into the ether, the jobs numbers are terrible. They're way worse than they ever have been before, way off the trajectory, way off the predictive markets. Then you start talking about, I don't know, what's another good example of this? There's probably a million out there. My head is racing. I had way too many coffees today. I just think that these numbers are all made up. And so when I see these numbers, they got this down It's not even, this is the best part, right? This reminds me of the Canadian immigration live tracker. Like, are you telling me these guys know exactly how many thousands of barrels are there to 6 digits? So, like, you know, they tell you right now there's how many? 364,000 barrels of oil in there, or 366,000, something like that. I have no idea. This is a hard chart to read at the very bottom. But do I really think they have that kind of tight control over the volume of oil in there? Well, honestly, I don't.
Maybe there is shrinkflation going on, and the size of a barrel has gotten smaller.
Galen Weston is manufacturing the barrels.
They're outsourcing it from Loblaws and other people. So
it's just a yellow barrel that says barrel on it.
Like
no name.
And if you compare a barrel from 10 years ago, you could see, my God, they're much bigger than they are now. But to the naked eye, just getting a barrel today seems like a regular old barrel. So they could say they have, 700,000 or 300,000 barrels, but we're using now a smaller barrel to define how much we have. So it could be just shrinkflation is taking hold here, and it's another thing that's just being fudged as a result.
God, I just think it's so great. I don't know, man. I mean, I just don't believe it. Am I crazy? Like, I know people online, especially the FinTwit heads, whose like entire existence relies on like interpreting data, and I'm data driven. The data's made up, moron. Like, what are you driven by? It's made up. How does anybody like the jobs thing? Okay, how does anybody who claims to be making a career off being data driven, like you're like Danielle DiMartino Booth, okay, who's like writing books about how the Fed works, how these things operate, how they're all data driven, how they make decisions, or you're like, I don't know, like another hedgie or something like that, or someone who runs a fucking investing newsletter service, and then your entire worldview is hit by a fucking asteroid the size of the one that killed the fucking dinosaurs. And you're like, you just pretend it didn't happen. You just pretend that all the other data you quote unquote built your, career on was real the whole time. How can you do that? How can you just ignore what just happened? And everyone just forgets about this. Like, not only is the data made up, but the people making it up are so brain dead, low effort people that they can't even try to make the numbers look believable. Why should I believe anything these guys say? Like I said, the data is just the data, capital T, capital D, it's just invented numbers to smooth policy changes, I think, or to smooth, the periods between policy changes. How else am I supposed to view this?
That's why you got to get these talking heads, because they come on and they say a few things, and at the end, everybody feels good. Unfortunately,
they don't fucking know anything. Gunlock is the only guy. Honest to God, Jeff Gunlock is the only guy who knows anything. I think everyone else is brain dead.
You're paying a couple $100 so somebody can get some fucking makeup and hair done. They come on and they fucking give you garbage. Like,
don't even say that. There's at least Len is referencing one person who's adjacent to the space who demands $200 for hair and makeup. And let me tell you, they ain't getting.
What is that? That's like a bullshit.
Man, that's trash. That's 200 US, by the way. 200 US.
Yeah.
If we told you who it was, you'd laugh, but also cry. Anyway,
McDonald's, man. Let's talk about McDonald's, because it's going to be a matter of time before they turn into fine dining. I'm not sure if you're following the price.
Are they? But they're experimenting with a bigger burger, are they not? Didn't I see that?
Whoa, this is shocking. Everything I've seen. So what's the cost of that bigger burger? It's going to be $25.
No.
And I'm not sure if you've even seen, there are also some locations that they're minimally staffed. It's all computerized, the whole system. So if you look at what's going on, they say that the price of the value meals, their combos, all this shit is creeping up, and it's going to be impacting low income customers. They're saying that those particular individuals are, quote, starting to crack. So, man, you see this. They're saying sticky inflation. Can't believe that's a term, sticky inflation, but they're saying this is one of the reasons why this is a big problem. Consumer confidence is also shattered, and people are reducing their cost in every which way possible. And McDonald's, unfortunately, is feeling the pinch. So if you're looking at what's going on, this company, they've been making money hand over fist. There's always been a steady stream of customers coming in. But now if you have the lower income bracket priced out, wow, this is going to impact what's going on with McDonald's. This is another what you call a signpost, right? Let's look at what's going on here and say, what the fuck? If McDonald's is going to have problems generating revenue, fuck, like what's going to happen moving forward? Like, again, another reason why I'm going to buy Bitcoin.
This is the only place in the world where you can get content related to burgers that leads you back to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
The story I was talking about during the Q1 earnings call on April 30th, McDonald's CEO Ian Borden said, "Our team of chefs around the world have created a larger, satiating burger."
Oh, like, but I want to know the cost. Is it going to be like, as I
don't
said,
know.
20,
I mean, it's going to be more for sure, or it'll be some kind of like, cheap pseudo food that they're going to just pump into the normal menu without telling anybody, right? I don't know.
How much?
I think
they're already going to plant-based in some regard, and others like
they don't. I don't think McDonald's
has
McDonald's is not plant-based anymore. I don't think.
Then their patties are like probably paper thin as it is. Like, how much more could you slice off?
They're pretty
right?
thin. I'm guilty of having gone to McDonald's recently, but it was for breakfast, so I don't really know.
Hash browns or something.
The breakfast burrito. I will say the hash browns have not gotten any smaller.
Burritos?
Yeah, breakfast burritos are pretty good. I make those at home too, but I was on the road and I was like, yeah, you know what? I want a coffee. I want some burritos too. They're good. They're pretty good. McDonald's salsa also, oh God, top notch. I don't know what they're putting in there. Probably some kind of addictive drug, but anyway. Yeah, I think you're right about the bit about the lower income bracket. I don't see any, when I go to McDonald's now here in Dundas, it's all like boomers just enjoying each other's company and having a coffee. I don't really see anybody eating McDonald's the way I used to. And I don't know what to make of that, which is weird because there's a lot of like firepower in there for ordering. And, obviously the kitchen is fully functional, full service, but I don't think a lot of people order a lot of the stuff on the menu. So is there like a shift coming in business? I don't know. I don't know if you follow Starbucks at all, but I look at Starbucks and like, I think that's a pretty good example of a business that's headed the wrong direction, like very clearly. And one of the things I noticed in the earnings call, I got to find it here. It's 0 calorie.
What is all in a Starbucks? I'd love to know that.
What?
When was the last time you've been inside a Starbucks?
Oh man, I don't know. Long time.
I want to quiz everybody here. I don't think, certainly not this decade. I don't think last decade I've been in the Starbucks.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's probably like fucking 15, 20 years since I've been in it. So I'd love to hear people. How many people go to a fucking Starbucks? The people in the chat.
Yeah, the Starbucks team is talking about how they're researching a 0 calorie energy drink for to sell. And someone on Twitter commented like, "Did Starbucks just say they discovered black coffee?" I thought like that's perfect. They had a fucking announcement about a low calorie energy drink, and they sell coffee as a business. That like there's a lot of companies now who are, I think, finding themselves on unstable footing for the first time, thanks to a number of different factors, whether it's the dietary preferences of their client base, the financial status of their client base, or the sudden competition and willingness. Honestly, Len, like this is not even a shot at foreign workers, though I think there are a lot of shortcomings with some of the foreign workers I've seen, or new Canadian workers. I don't know what the politically correct term is in a lot of the restaurant settings that I've been to recently. I think there's a general lack of concern and pride in service work in general. I would sooner go to a local coffee shop here in Dundas and pay double the price for a couple of coffees if they'll let me bring my dog in and they have something nice to say about like, what's going on in the neighborhood that day, or they're competent, or they're, asking questions and engaging with me and stuff like that. And the service is better and the product's a bit better. I think a lot of people are doing that now, right? They may be spending less overall, but enjoying the things they spend on a little bit more. And so why would I go to Starbucks to pay, I used to have a girlfriend whose father called it $4. And so I'll steal that term. Why would I go to $4 for a coffee if I can go somewhere else?
More than $4 now, right?
It is now for sure. I mean, I dated this girl like 12 years ago. So I would say that it's probably, $6 now for a large coffee at Starbucks, if I had to guess. I don't know.
That's much cheaper than I thought it would be.
No, Len, for a drip coffee, how much can it possibly be? It's like $6 for a drip coffee is fucking insane.
I have no, I don't
think about the margins on that. Think about the margins on a drip coffee. That's $6 a cup.
That's why Starbucks made fucking bank for a long time. You sell
I gotta look.
coffee.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Premium, premium. It's the same fucking water that you put in Tim Hortons or fucking Dunkin' Donuts, and just a different bean.
Hot coffee featured just a Pike Place. That's their standard medium roast. a venti, which is a large, I think, right? Is that a large? I don't know. Let's see. This is good content for people who are listening. It doesn't even tell you the fucking.
Because I think it varies per location. That's why.
Really?
Certainly. If you buy a coffee
it does.
from
Wow.
downtown
You got to
Toronto,
be kidding me. Holy smokes.
Well, if you're downtown Toronto and you're getting a Starbucks versus downtown or outskirts of Sudbury, if there's one out there, I'm sure it's going to be a different price.
They don't even show you. They won't even show you the price online unless you sign in. That's a bad sign for the price. It's got to be a ton. Oh my God. Anyway, all this to say that a lot of businesses now find themselves on, unstable footing. Like I said, I think it's very clear there's going to be some problems.
What's going to happen now? You have all these businesses that are fucking struggling to pay rent. These are small businesses. Then you have established businesses, these franchises like fucking McDonald's. They're losing all types of customers that they would normally rely on. There's going to be a change in the way things are done. And then on top of that, these bricks and mortar stores, I think a lot of them are just going to disappear. I don't know what's going to happen with those locations. Will they turn into residential living areas? That's going to be one way, right? Like you think about it. If you're going to scale back on commercial or change commercial into residential, I'm not sure what the process is, but if they're not being occupied by commerce, then it makes sense to occupy it with something else.
Yeah.
Have somebody live in it. And right, like that's, you talked about it a little bit last week with respect to Canada Post, and they're saying one of the options that they would have is, the places above Canada Post, you could turn those into livable quarters. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I know some of it's laughable. There is some truth to that as well, right? Like if you have a place up there that is not occupied, and you can convert it into residential, why not?
How many Canada Posts have a second level?
I don't know. I don't go out there.
There's a depot. There's a depot near me, and like a standalone post office. Neither of them have a second level. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I think the majority don't. Yeah. The ones that I frequent are usually in Shoppers Drug Mart, and Shoppers is its own unit. And the other place, the guy, I'm not going to mention his name, but it's a standalone unit. So that guy's top notch.
Visiting with him at some point in the future, I'm sure.
We won't discuss that.
Anyway,
I think that's it, Joey. I think
let's get out of here. I have to edit this now. God, the editing process is going to become so much more cumbersome once Spotify forces me to use their stupid tools. But anyway,
can't you just download and edit locally?
Yeah, you can, but then you have to. I don't know. I have to figure out a workflow. I'm so used to this workflow that we have, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, God bless everyone.
It's not something we like here at the CBP.
We don't. We don't at all. Come back tomorrow. Me and Rich Diaz, 7:00. Len and Fundamentals from Rock Paper Bitcoin on Wednesday at 7. I think it's at 7:00, right?
That is it. 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and then until then, take care of yourselves and have some fun out there.
Yeah, don't be a cuck or go to the Bitcoin Magazine conference.
Don't forget, everybody, lots of other stuff on CBP Media Network, including Two Whites and a Blue. Me, Joey, my brother-in-law, Mike, and our friend Will talk about all the problems millennials are having with finance, romance, and just getting by. If you like CBP, if you like the NHL 94 podcast, I guarantee you'll like that one. Search for it, Two Whites and a Blue, anywhere you get your podcasts. We look forward to seeing you.